Hey, Dutch with you here, Tactical Hyve. It's story time with Dutch, kind of. So one of the questions that came up recently was the length of time you've been in the service. So I spent 31 years, the length of time in the service. 26 of those years were full-time, and then some of the times were National Guard and Reserve time. But 31 years, give or take, affiliated with the United States Army, and 26 of those years were in Special Operations Command and as a United States Army Ranger, and then farther up the ladder, if you will, as an operator in a special mission unit. It's a vague question. It can be vague. So what is the psychological impact of your career? Is it on me, on my family, on my mates, on my country? So this becomes an exercise in rhetoric, but it's a cool exercise. It really is. It's kind of a cool, interesting thing. And that, I've told this story a couple of different times, or stories like it, but hopefully you guys, the Tactical Hyve, and folks in the war room, I hope you think it's worth repeating. So to me, and I've said this numerous times, especially my time in the Western Euphrates River Valley, it was the best of times and the worst of times. I think that the career span, especially when I was a young Ranger to when I became and left the organization as a Sergeant Major in 2013, I do think it was the best of times and worst of times. I think that it was the most rewarding time of my entire life, and I miss it greatly. And I also think that the cause and effect of the operational tempo, 10 plus years at war, they all have an effect on everyone differently. I knew men that I trained with afterwards, when I did contracting, that they had 26, 28 combat tours. I'm looking at 10. Or maybe 12, but the 2 are liaison tours, so I wouldn't even count them. But you understand that psychological impact on that man and how much he's seen. And it can be great, right? It certainly can be great. I think that great achievements come with a price, and I think that's with everything. I'm a big movie quote guy, and I love movies, and I love stories. I love the human condition, and I love stories told through celluloid and pages through books. So without a doubt, Tom Brady is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, arguably. How much time did he work away from his family? How much time does he take to worry about or concern himself about his profession? A lot. You have to. Michael Jordan, time after time, he's on the court long before anyone else. These are not outliers, right? Well, maybe that's not true. Maybe they are outliers to the rest of the community, but to them, they are dedicated to a craft. Going back to movies, if you know the movie called Miracle, it's about Herb Brooks and the 1980 United States hockey team, the Olympic hockey team, where Herb coddled together a bunch of men that maybe not were the best, but were the best for him. And he dedicated so much time that he caused a giant rift between his family. And I identify with the character in that movie over and over again because I worked a lot. We worked a lot, and we sacrificed because of that work and because of that dedication to duty that can cause harm to family life. I've been married twice. My first wife left after 6 years. I had numerous troubles with my second relationship. And now I hope to carve a much better relationship as I move forward. I recently gave a speech on resilience in Wisconsin to a group of law enforcement agents. And that's one of the things I talk about all the time. You need to find this woman partner that you're going to be with. You need to be equally yoked. And when I say equally yoked, and it's a biblical reference, but there are many ways, not just in believing in God, for instance, that you need to be equally yoked. You need to have a lot of things in common because it's a long, hard road. And I do not wish, this path to greatness, right? Well, I don't ever think I was great, ever. But I've reached a level of professionalism in my career that I think that other people would think that, oh, gee whiz, you made it to the top, you made it to the greatness. I don't ever think that way, but I love another movie quote. It's from The Wind on the Line. It's Teddy Roosevelt saying, the road to greatness is dark and it's lonely. And oftentimes you only see other men in that path along with you, and they happen to be enemies as well. And it's a very interesting quote, and I dig it. But we've seen life and death. I personally have seen life and death on the same target. We were going after high value targets, and we went to different places and different hits, if you will. And we eliminated many of the enemy soldiers that night, and we also had to give birth. My medic gave birth to a woman the same night. So that's a very strange bunch of events. So I've seen other oddities of war as well. We've seen really good men not be able to input the information and process the information to stay on board. And then you see good men removed for cause. And it's not that they were bad men. It's just they couldn't do the job. And so you have to say goodbye to really good men that you enjoyed being with because they just couldn't hack it anymore. They couldn't take the job. We've seen suicide. The stress of high operational tempo is incredible, especially when you're going to war. And then the cycles that we work, there's a work cycle, which you're on alert at all times. And then there's a heavy duty training cycle, and then there's a travel cycle where you're going to do some sort of training that pertains to your particular job somewhere else, maybe a different environment, jungle, desert, mountain climbing, whatever. And then there's a small window of opportunity where you get to go home. And I was talking to another professional today, actually, talking about there really is no off-season whatsoever to the Special Operations soldier. There isn't. NSW, Ranger, MARSOC, Green Beret, there isn't. There isn't. There's a small block window. There's a small window where you get block leave. That's what you get. And then relax. Go to the Bahamas. Go to the beach. And come right back and you're doing it again. So that takes its toll on families all across the Special Operation Warrior spectrum without a doubt. I see medical issues. Almost all my mates are medical retired. I myself I'm right now a 4-time back surgery guy. 2 of them were when I was working in the Army. One was when I just got out, and the 4th one was just recently. And I've had cancer during that time frame in the Army, where they told me, guess what, you got 5 years to live. Now, we beat that, but in the end, whether that particular cancer came from the environment that I worked with or it didn't, I'm not even sure. We don't even know. But there's plenty of other men that I know that have had cancer and cancer issues because of the operational environment they worked in. No one gets out, right? That's what we say all the time. No one gets out alive, right? It's hard to beat the clock. And the SAS have this thing, it's a beat the clock, because the idea is to beat the clock. But in the end, time waits for no man. So it's gonna go. But going back to the greatness part of it, and then you probably heard me just say piece upon piece of how horrible it is and how tough it is and how hard it is. But guess what? It is absolutely the most rewarding thing I've ever done, ever in my entire life. Suffering brought greatness to me. I loved it. And it's about camaraderie. It's about the tribe. I'm now on a list of other former guys, and it's my ability to reach out to them and talk to them and touch them. We still stay in touch. There's different events we can go to just to stay in touch and to see the greatness of the element now, how it's become. Movie quote from Fury, right? It's the best job I ever had. And this just really is, to me, the best job I've ever had. The travel opportunity has been amazing. I've been all over the world. Embassies across the globe. Yes, there have been stressful times when I've been across the globe doing stuff you had to do to help save your mates that are right next to you and do it in combat. But other times, the opportunity to travel and to do things would never had the opportunity before. Training opportunities, training Norwegians, training Germans, training Iraqis, training Kuwaitis, training Afghanis, training Americans, training Colombians, Egyptians, young Rangers. The opportunities to train and make an impact on other people, it's amazing. I've been blessed. Making a difference for your mates, really, and making a difference for your country, it's hard to put into words. And now, that's all finished, right? I'm finished. So I do contract work, and I go overseas still and do contract work. I recently went to Poland. I recently went to the Czech Republic. I recently went to Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, I think was one of the last ones I've done. So I have opportunity to do that as well. And then even more now, United States, I want to remain my focus on giving back to law enforcement agents and military folks who don't have the amount of experience I do. I want to give it back. And, that's part of what Tactical Hyve can do too. Miles has put together a bunch of subject matter experts, he's like to call them. I don't consider myself an expert by any means, but I guess we are. And we brought these guys together, they have, and we can give back to law enforcement select Americans that can come to these classes, right, and make a difference. And so in the end, the psychological impact of being at the top or the tip of the spear, if you will, or even being a Ranger for, 9 years, I've survived it. I've made some bad decisions in the past, and I've made some really good decisions as well. And hard to say that I would change anything. It has formed me to what I am, and I'm pretty much happy with that. So psychological impact, I hope that covers most of it for you guys. And I think there's still more layers of the onion to peel, honestly, out of that. There's a whole lot of information out there somewhere with even other men that have experienced the same thing. So I think that's it for now, but stay tuned to the Tactical Hyve. You're going to get more of this. And if you're smart, right, you sign up to be part of the War Room with Tactical Hyve. You get more of this information. And if you like this video in particular, smash the like button, ring that bell, get those notifications, get fed by the Tactical Hyve. Come on back for more if you want to. Tell your friends. And it's not all about shooting, right? It's mentoring, it's leadership. And we hope to lead the way in those categories and give you great content and do good things in the future, all right? So that's it for now. And stay switched on out there. Dutch out.